What's going on, guys? Man, it's your channel TFD, and welcome back. And if you're new here, hey, what you been doing? Go ahead and get comfortable. So boom, today we've got a reporter by the name of Sabrina who just dropped some real behind-the-scenes intel from the USA basketball training camp about Caitlin Clark. And listen, the way she's talking, Caitlin Clark made this team, fam. Like, she made it. That's the energy. That's the tone. That's the vibe. We're about to break all of this down. But before we jump in, real quick, y'all know the deal. Hit that like button for your boy, hype the channel up a little bit, and if you rock with the content, go ahead and subscribe. And definitely jump into the comments and let me know how you're feeling about this one. All right? Let's get into it. Now, shout out to the Athletic Women's Basketball Show, because that's where this info is coming from. Sabrina, the one sitting in the middle, was actually at the camp, boots on the ground, and she has given us details on Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Plum, and how things were really going behind closed doors. She talked about Caitlin running sets with the bigs, sometimes without Aaliyah Boston out there. Yeah, that got my attention too. There's a lot to unpack here, some real eye-opening stuff. So let's stop playing around and get right into it, right now. I told you already, I made full video on this. Let's go.
Then in their very near future. And we wrote about that on the site, just like how people have been perceiving the negotiations and what still affects them and what they're thinking about with regards to the new collective bargaining agreement. But for now, just good time at camp, 3 days in North Carolina, a little snow on one of the days, just a little taste of the winter in the South. But yeah, it was interesting just to see what Carol Lawson is prioritizing in terms of how she wants to make her imprint on this program. And just fun to see the players in a live game situation again, because you think about Caitlin hasn't played since July 15th,
Yes.
There are 4 sparks of this camp. Their season ended on September 11th, right? So it's been a long time since any of them have really played competitive basketball. You saw some situations where Caitlin's stuck guarding Kelsey and Kelsey's, knocking her off the ball, and Caitlin gets called for a foul and she starts yelling at the refs, she's grabbing me, and all of the coaches from WNBA teams who were sitting there watching are just cracking up. Kelsey had one situation where she sort of finished through traffic. She'd been struggling a little bit, got through to the hoop, just yells right in Becky Hammond and Nikki Fargas's face, and they're just cracking up, like classic Kelsey.
Right. Stirring it up. I love that. Yeah. I love that you could see the storylines continue from the W season into this camp. And I want to particularly hit on 2 things that you wrote about. Just Caitlin Clark being back on the court. You also got a quote out of Sue Bird about her being impressed with Caitlin just being engaged while she was out and getting back to being able to play. A little bit about what Caitlin looked like on the court, how much fun she was having, how important it was. And then someone else, Angel Reese on the other side, talking about Chicago. That was the article I was not expecting.
Yeah, so we'll start with Caitlin. Obviously, she suffered just a bevy of injuries in her sophomore season, played her last game on July 15th, even before All-Star Weekend. This was her first real 5-on-5 action since that injury with the fever, and it was a combination of USA players going against USA players, and then also USA players going against the scout team, which was just players from small colleges all across North Carolina sort of helping out with that scout team practice. And, she looked like Caitlin, right? The step back 3 was there, the passes were there. When she was not playing with Aaliyah Boston, some of the bigs didn't know what to do with her passes. There was one time where she passed it to Hamby, and Hamby brought the ball down. It's you can't do that. This is not. You have to keep it up, right?
Straight up, right.
Just not expecting, where that was coming. But FIBA, naturally, just a lot more physical than other levels of basketball, even more physical than the WNBA, which is something to be said considering all the conversations we had about that level of physicality during this 2025 season. So having to see Caitlin go at scouting players who were, instructed to play at a FIBA level of physicality was interesting considering how long she's been out and the fact that she's still ramping up injury-wise, but she looked good. She was just so happy to be there and was individually like telling media members how nice it was just to like talk to them again and like that she was just part of the basketball process, even if that includes all of these other responsibilities.
All right. So let's really sit with this for a second. Because when you hear the way people are talking coming out of that training camp, yeah, it's different. It feels different. So there you have it, fam. Caitlin Clark out there being an absolute beast in training camp. Straight up. Shout out to her. Shout out to her work ethic. Shout out to the way she carries herself. And shout out to her man, too. Because, listen, when you're built like that mentally, that support matters. Now look, I already kind of knew this was coming. I already knew Kelsey Plum and Caitlin Clark were gonna be going after it. Come on now. Those are two elite guards battling for essentially the same space, the same role, the same respect. Let's be honest, these are two players who don't just accept the crowd noise. No, they invite it. If you remember, Kelsey Plum turning around to Spike Lee like, hey, nah, I need more of that. Speak up. I need to hear that S. I need to hear it. That's who she is. She feeds off it. And Caitlin? Caitlin Clark is the same way. Whole crowd yelling at her, chanting, trying to get in her head. And she's just like, yeah, come on. Come on. And then what happens? She shuts the whole building up. I mean, that clip was crazy. I think it was college. Might have been high school, but I'm pretty sure it was college. Entire crowd loud 1 second, silent the next. Just dead quiet. That's different, man. That's that killer instinct. Two absolute dogs. Two of them. And we already know Caitlin Clark is not afraid to let refs hear it if the game isn't being called right. She's not. I remember that clip with Dearica Hamby, that hard hedge, that double team coming at Caitlin's, and folks were like, oh, Caitlin's pushing off. Nah. Hamby's arm was literally across Caitlin's chest. That's a foul, period. That's restricting freedom of movement. You cannot do that. You gotta slide your feet. You gotta slide those puppies. That's just basketball. Now, I also want to address something else people keep bringing up. The passes. Oh, why couldn't they handle Caitlin's passes? Man, we saw this already. Year one. When you've got players who've never played with her, never experienced that velocity, that timing, they're going to need a learning curve. It's real. And that's not disrespect, that's just reality. Now, Chelsea Gray, tone shifts, softer, she's got some of the most stylish passes you'll ever see. No argument there. She's flashy, creative, entertaining as hell. But sometimes that flash, it gets her in trouble. Sometimes it leads to turnovers. Caitlin Clark, pause, swallow, she threads the needle. She puts the ball exactly where it needs to be. Not just to catch, but to catch and go. And that's the part people miss. Facilitating isn't just passing, it's anticipation. It's seeing the defender, seeing your teammates' momentum, seeing where their hands will be, not where they are right now. That's another level of thinking. 10 steps ahead. And that's why I keep saying it. Caitlin Clark is a top guard. Now, y'all can argue in the chat. Go ahead, start the conversation. Chelsea Gray is elite, entertaining, legendary. But Caitlin? She gets that ball into tight windows, tough spots, and she makes it comfortable for her teammates. That comfort matters. Quiet inhale. That's rhythm. That's trust. That's why defenders panic. So yeah, I'm not shocked some players struggled early. I am impressed that she talked about playing against FIBA-level physicality from the scout team and still doing her thing. That's beautiful work. But it also tells me something else. Those clips from yesterday, that soreness was real. This is her first time back. She's getting her lungs back, her legs back. She's absorbing contact again. That's tough. That's not easy. And to hear she's still dominated, man, that tells you everything. Once she hits 100% conditioning, once she's truly basketball ready, watch out. Because game conditioning is different. Practice conditioning is different. You can only get that real rhythm in games. So once she stacks those reps, yeah, Caitlin is going to crush it. I feel it. I really do think she's about to have an amazing third year. Seeing her hold her own and dominate against the top talent the WNBA has to offer while still not fully synced yet, come on, man. Don't tell me she's not taking it to the house next year. If she stays healthy, oh yeah, it's on. She would have had an amazing year last season if she stayed healthy too. Let's not rewrite history. Triple-double early, averaging 19 and 9 in the first 5 games? What are we talking about? I'm not even going to run down the whole list. Y'all know the list. I say it every time. But more than anything, I just love seeing her smile. I love seeing her enjoy it. That's the part that hits me. Last year, man, we were dragged through nonsense. Day-to-day updates. She might come back, she might not. Conspiracies everywhere. It was exhausting. All we wanted was ball. Just ball. Let her hoop. Let her stay on the court. Let us enjoy basketball. And right now, I love what I'm seeing. I really do. Shout out to Caitlin Clark. Shout out to Sabrina. Shout out to the Athletic Women's Basketball Show for the insight. This feels right, man. This feels like basketball again. Let's move here. The brand ventures. WNBA impact. Caitlin Clark's global basketball effect. Unreal. Crowds rise, brands shift. She changes the game. Worldwide. Breath builds, energy lifts, voices creak, momentum keeps growing on.
So you guys are the organization that helps the NBA. How are you guys related? And have you felt the impact of the women's basketball?
The effect of Caitlin Clark, we cannot deny it. It is there, and it was planned. It was properly executed, and the impact is now global. And now we're seeing more and more girls jump into the basketball court. So first, we are very grateful and very happy to see WNBA striving and changing things from conditions to the teams to filling venues, records in attendance, more engaging content. They are doing all good. And for us, just to close, we have in our strategic plan the last 4 years and for the next 4 years, women in basketball as a great pillar, because it is our mission to keep developing basketball everywhere in the world.
Here's Caitlin Clark's also viral talks about her competitive side.
Growing up, my parents knew I was super competitive from a young age. I'm not sure they always loved it. When I was young, I really didn't know how to control it. I was so competitive, really, no matter what we did, not just sports. If we were playing a board game at home or like even in class at school, like I was super competitive. Sometimes my teachers would have to talk to my mom like, you need to figure out how to calm this girl down because rocket math is not that serious. But it was to me.
She threw bows.
I had to win. I didn't want to lose rocket math. I didn't want to come in second. So I remember like I just was heated whenever I would lose, and they had to talk to my mom about it. But I think that's something I've learned to control and balance, and I've kind of just always had that competitive spirit, but also been super confident in myself. And you know, that's not something every female athlete has. I think that's something a lot of people struggle with. And you know, I'm not going to say my confidence is perfect all the time, but I think that's something my parents kind of instilled in me at a young age, is just to be confident and go after whatever you're doing. And I think that competitive side just comes out when I'm doing that.
Y'all let me know how you feel about all this information, man. Because that behind-the-scenes insight Sabrina dropped about Caitlin Clark at USA basketball training camp, yeah, that changes the conversation. I mean, when you hear how she's competing, how she's talking, how she's carrying herself in that environment, it hits different. That's not just talent, that's mindset, that's edge. So let me ask y'all, do you think Caitlin Clark really has a chance to make this team, or do you think we're about to see some of the same stuff we saw back in 2024? You remember when Enrique hinted that politics were involved? Are we going to see that again? Or does her competitive side force the issue this time? Because once Caitlin smells competition, she leans into it. She doesn't shrink, she pushes harder. And then there's the global effect. This isn't just USA basketball. This is worldwide attention, brands, fans, eyes everywhere. That matters whether people want to admit it or not. So yeah, drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me how you see it. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll keep talking ball.
The most important thing for myself, thinking about these CBA negotiations, like, this is the biggest moment the WNBA has ever seen. And it's not something that can be messed up. And, we're going to fight for everything that we deserve, but at the same time, like, we need to play basketball. That's what our fans crave, and that's what all of you crave as well, is you want the product on the floor. And at the end of the day, that's how you make the money, that's how you're marketable, that's what the fans get excited about, that's what the fans want to show up for. So, it's business and it's a negotiation, and there has to be compromise on both sides. And, we're starting to get down to the wire of it, and it's become really important. And, obviously I want to help in any way I can, and I've tried to educate myself the best I can. Obviously I can't speak to every single number, it's pretty complicated, but I think there are different things that we can find ways to say, no, like, we certainly deserve that and we're not going to compromise on that, and then other things that we can probably compromise on. But like I said, like, this is the biggest moment in the history of the WNBA, and I don't want that to be forgotten. And it's important that we find a way to play this next season, and I think our fans, and even everybody that has played in this league that has come before us, deserve that as well.
I'm curious just on the
It really is just talking to people